In context with this word, as we established before, there's a lot of things. One of the things that spoke to me was what what you know in comparison to what you said about Judas, and how his nature and character took on the format of what his lusts and his desires. It's like that scripture that talks about being given over to your reprobate mind, the way you think. So the way you think now becomes the way you live, and then it becomes a will. So if he said, okay, fine, Satan entered him, then Satan could go about and do his will to be done in that man's life. So he went and now betrayed Yahusha. Now,
Yeah.
what do you call it? With Yahusha, I was kind of looking at what this great man did right at the end. There's a highlight of a notion from the very start when it said, okay, fine, when he knew that it was about time for him to leave the world. He now talked about the first thing he talks about there is depart out of this world, having loved his own which were in the world. He loved them unto the end. And that for me is powerful because it's like almost like a statement made by the person who is giving the description of what his mindset and his frame of mind was at that particular time. So then after that, he's like, okay, fine, what do you call it? The devil now being put in the heart of Judas, he was able to do his will and go about doing it. And then finally, we find that Yahusha goes and he literally gets himself ready. He said he riseth from supper and then laid aside his garment. So he took off his clothes and then he took a towel, put it around his waist, and then started pouring water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet. And we know that, obviously the significance of what feet used to go through back then. There was no pedicure person that could deal with those feet. There was just there was nobody that could deal with those feet, because those feet went through like camel poo, mountains, chaps, cracks, verrucas, all sorts, because they were always wearing sandals in it, and they were always wearing what do you call it? Some of them didn't even have shoes. I don't think they had invented shoes that much at that time. So the kind of shoes that they had were not like Nike Air or anything. So it must have been like the feet, like I mean, the feet really took it back in the days, and that's what he decided to wash. He could have said, "No, wash your hands, because your hands at least, it's a bit clean, because you wash them all the time. You have to use them." But no, no, no. Let's wash. Let me wash what, sometimes it's hard for you to get, and he washed those dirty feet, and he was ready for it. It's like, you've got to do this unto yourselves. That's how they will know that you are from me. That was his first instruction before even going anywhere, before he's even started the process of going to die. Where I'm going, you can't come. You can't come to hell with me, because I'm gonna have to do that for you and take captivity captive. So what am I taking captivity captive? The first instruction I'm giving you is to love yourselves. And loving yourselves means you have to do something that's absolutely sacrificial for one another. In a sacrificial way, you live for one another. You love yourselves. That's how they'll know, because there's a way that you guys have that will show people physically that there's something you guys do that make you who you are. And this is how they will identify you as people who followed me. Because if he gave that instruction, that means that not everybody else is capable of doing it. And I always say, the only thing that Satan is incapable of is to love. He cannot love. He's incapable of loving. That is a characteristic and a nature he cannot do. And as you're talking about the nature and the characteristics of what men have that could drive them to their reprobate mind. It's an unrepentant one. It's one that at 1 point or 2 points or 3 points or 4 points, they just knew that what they were doing was wrong, but they just kept ignoring and ignoring. Somebody told them, "Oh, stop doing that, man. Don't do that. You know it's not good. It's not good for you to do this." No, and then people were telling them, and they kept doing it one too many times until they forgot that they were doing it, and it became them. And then they carried that over. Whatever they became a nature and a characteristic that they don't even know. So if they look in the mirror, they cannot recognize their identity. They have no identity because the character and the nature of this world and whatever Satan has put in it to hold us back from seeing the true light and seeing the Father and seeing the Son has kept us back from becoming who we're supposed to become. Light. We are the light of the world. And he's saying, this is one thing, this is like the fundamental thing that shows you people that I'm of you, or you came from me. This is what I want you to do. It just seemed a bit profound, like that this is what he would focus on. I mean, people should have said, okay, no, he should just focus on telling him, you know what, you need to just go and start maybe going to pay places and talk to them about me and all that and everything. But he said, no, I want you to love yourselves first, because if you love yourselves, others will also love themselves because of the way they're seeing you love yourself. They'll see that there's an ability, or it's something that actually can be. The first church in Acts, they showed that fruit, that first fruit of loving themselves. That's what they shared, everything. Ananias and his wife were killed because they couldn't fit into the structure of the spirit. And they said to them that it's the spirit that killed you, it's not me, because are you lying to me or lying to the spirit that's putting this network together? Listen, he's the one contracted for this job, and how he's doing it is that we share everything, we love one another, we build one another, we encourage one another, we pray for one another. It's a way, and this was the way that he said people will know that you are of me. But you'll find that every other thing, from miracles to charitable works, and to all these other things seem to take over that notion and get more important than the instruction given. The format of a religious activity becomes now foundational instead of it being secondary. It now becomes primary. Whereas he gave a basic instruction that it's not hard to understand. Love yourselves. How do you do that? You can't even say, okay, I can only try to do that because if you step on my foot, it will hurt me that you're stepping on my foot. And sometimes I might feel like pushing you down the stairs because you stepped on my foot. Because it hurt me so much that the anger in my system rose and wanted to rise. But somehow the force of love that the Father, the Creator, has said that this is the foundation that we will walk by is keeping me from doing what that character and the nature of this earth and the way the satanic push us by our rights and what we feel we have the right to do. If you push, you have the right to push back. I'll give you a clear example that I want to report myself. There's a guy where I live, and I'll be maybe having fellowship and stuff, and for years he's just taunted me, because he's directly above me. He would bang so hard, and stuff. And today, after about a couple of years, I just couldn't take it. I went out to him. Excuse me, you know what? Yeah, they said, what do you think we're monkeys or something? Why are you begging for me like to say you are my slave trader or what? What I've managed you. Even you are guilty of the same sin. Sometimes your children make noise. So why are you killing me for what I overlook for you? You can't overlook it for me. I said, my friend, that's the last time you bang like that. Yeah, But I thought to myself, it's not my right. I'm going to. And every time I greet him, he always say hello. Even though he does what he does, he always looks at me strange, like, how can this woman say hello to me after what I did last night? And I've been doing it. And I thought today I'll have to say something. But then if it comes to push comes to shove, the most important thing is not because he banged, it's with his soul. So I take the crap. Because one day he will realize, this woman, she's lived what she preached. She took my crap. If you know the amount of crap that we, what kind of crap that did Yahuah took? He took so much crap, they slapped the guy. King of Kings and Lord of they slapped him. He said, why do you slap me now? What did I do? If I did something, you show me that, you slap, you don't even know who hey, let me just hold back. I'm King of Kings. If I just talk now, your whole generation will be wiped out. But I'm not going to say nothing. He learned to restrain. The force of the love is able to, that's why it says love covers a multitude of sins. Love is able to cover a multitude of sins. And it gave us the instruction that we should just go about doing this, because its force is able to quench every ill nature that is not of Yahuah. Every ill nature, because that's the final fight. Is what you do me and what I do you. That's the final thing. Character against character. Nature against nature. Even darkness against light. What is the fight? The nature of light is to give illumination to everything. The nature of darkness is to cover everything, so you don't know what confusion, chaos, nothing. You bang your head on the wall because you don't know where you're going. Mosquito will be biting you because you don't know which direction they're coming from. All sorts. That's the nature of darkness, to just cause chaos and you can't see anything, you can't move anywhere, you're just stand still, you're stagnant. But light gives you illumination, you're able to see brightness, you're able to move in the directions, left, right, backs, and you can do so much with light. It brings happiness, it brings joy. So the nature of light is love. The nature of darkness is everything else that is not love. And this is what he was showing from the very start, from when he was about to move. He's like, yo, this is what it is, you guys need to do this for yourselves. And I think the first church, we started that. It started well. But certain things started getting injected into the notion of the way the Spirit should do things. Spirit, you know what? 15 minutes for praise and worship. After that, another 15 minutes for the pastor to come to the pulpit. After 15 minutes, another 15 minutes for us to sing, get the tithes and offering. After that 15 minutes, we will now bring people for testimony. After that 15 minutes, we'll now do this. When the Spirit's like, you guys are dictating for me. You guys are leading me. I'm not leading you. If as many as are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of Yahuah, the sons of Yahuah. So, am I leading you or are you leading me? I'm supposed to lead you into all truths. How can I do that if you've not even allowed me to even lead you? The leading of the Spirit is a prompting, is a way, is a faithing, into the things he's prompting. It's the movement by the Spirit. It's a transitioning for your soul to be changed and conformed, transformed by the renewing of your mind. So the way you think is changing. But if that's not started, because we have religion and we have all these stuff, there's nothing that instigates us into the velocity of love. We're not doing anything in that capacity. We're just so locked up in our sets and where where we've set ourselves, not often where he set us, because we were ignorant of so many things, and we didn't kind of move forward with his plans. He might tell us to do something very uncomfortable, and you'll be like, hey, no, that one must have come from Satan. What he said, that one is not the word from the Father, not at all. Leave my country where I've been having good foundation and everything's going well for me. Leave it and go somewhere that I don't know. Go and start living in Afghanistan, in one village. No. That's not from the Father. No. That's not from the Father. No, it didn't come from him. No. We lead the Spirit. and he takes us out. We lead the Spirit, and he just watches. He just looks. He just sees. And as we keep on going, he tries to bring us back into the notion of being led, so that he can teach us how to love and truly love our brethren. Because there's two kinds. There's two kinds of expressions of this love. There's been the one that's false, and the one that really comes from the Father. The one that is instigated from the Father, you can recognize it because it looks like Christ on the cross. It looks like that. It's so sacrificial that you won't understand the people. They're unique, they're different, the way they think about certain things. It's just, you will know by the Spirit that this person is just following the way of love. You just know. Then you've got the other one that you've got the one that when you've been going to a certain place for that longer time, you know exactly how to express your face to show like you look like you're a loving person, but deep down inside you really don't like the person. Maybe the person comes close to you, his mouth is smelling, and you can't say nothing, but because you're instructed, but now you go back and finish him with your mouth like that guy needs a mint, and at the end, there's no instigation of anything new happening, because everything is a protocol, is how you kind of conformed yourself to this world. But the Bible says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you can prove that good, acceptable, and perfect will. It's a transitioning from one level of love to the next into perfection.
Yeah.
Because when we now get ready to say, he was ready to go out of this world, there was a preparation for him. And he said, oh boy, you guys, listen. Look how I'm doing it. I am the son of Yahuah. I am the almighty son of Yahuah. And me, I took off my clothes for you to come and wash your feet dirty. And then at the end of it, I took slap, I took beat, scourging, this, that, went on the nail. They did all sorts, scourged me, took me, everything. And see how there's a song that says, a lyric of a song that says, see how I die. See how I die. A significance of that, see how I die. You know, how he's dying is a significance of his love, the depth of sacrifice that he has for Yahuwah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so that anyone who can see how I die and believe how I die, even if you didn't see it but you heard about it, but you allowed the Spirit to inject it in your soul, that you believe that I died for you, yeah, you're coming in, because it's a belief. Everything we're doing now is faith in. As you said earlier on, Linda, about the grace, it's all by grace. So it's grace. So because if you think about the saints of old, and we now designer Christians with everything, whereas those people, they were burnt to the stake. They were in Colosseum. They ripped their children apart. They drowned them. They scourged them, all because of what they believed in the name. All because of how they decided to live. They wanted to love each other so much that they killed them. They were like, no, we're wiping you out. And any trace of your love connection, your love network, we're going to wipe it out. Because this is the only force that is able to win Satan. This is the only force that can win the demonic. I said it before. The Father was showing me that when you see pedophiles, or people who are doing all these acts of violation to children or stuff like that, and you actually get a video of somebody doing such a thing on WhatsApp or any of those kind of things, when you see the act, it's the expression of the nature of the character of the demon that has taken possession over that individual. And also it is a depiction of the torment in which that character is going to await to receive when he's in eternal damnation. Because every expression of the demonic is negative. It's kind of like a what's the word? It's like if you say the Father is love, you say Satan is darkness and hate. If you say the Father is light, you say this one is darkness. If it's a depiction of anything negative. It's the anti, as you said, of Christ. So it's the anti of the nature. So if they say a child is an innocent, and whoever, touches a child, their own judgment is going to be like worse than Sodom and Gomorrah, then the demonic would use it as a mimic to molest children, molest them sexually, molest their minds, to bring them away. That's what they're doing now from different countries. They're bringing molestation of mindsets by bringing a drag queen into the classroom, and then the drag queen is teaching the children, and drag queen is showing a depiction that it's okay to be man and woman at the same time. And these little children are looking at this drag queen like, I'm confused, or my mom, I thought you said it's just man and woman. This one is saying man and woman as one person. It's one person. It's
yeah,
one.
it's sad, very sad.
You know.
Yeah, it's really, really sad.
But his love covers a multitude of sins. Even when we see that dead, wretched, whatever, you don't look at it and say, I hate that person. That person's evil. I used to feel that way, but you know what? Even the eyes of love sees past the person's devastation in his demonic, as in a demonic. I mean, that's what Yahushua did when he walked. He kept seeing the demonic, and they'll run away from him. Some of them will come and say, I know you. I know you've come to torment us. He was facing the demonic, so he could not have hate or hatred for the people. That's why he had to say, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. They don't know. They're being used by entities to defile their bodies, their temples, so that you have no hope. But I'm still going to be here as hope. But then who's he going to use to be the hope? It's going to be us. That's why he said, this is what I need you to do to one another, because the capacity to go that way, as you said, Linda, is very easy. The capacity to become something we didn't think we could ever become is very easy. It just takes somebody pushing the wrong button. It just takes the wrong situation in our mind, just crack. Somebody just lose all their children. Lose this, lose that, lose this. Hey! Come and see madman. Anything can enter. If the spirit is not strong there, do you think Job could have held on with all the devastating news he heard in 4 minutes or 5 minutes? He could not have held on if he didn't have the force of love and that relationship he had with the Father. He would have gone crackers. But the Father held him together to the end, though. He was even cursing himself to the end. But then what was it that saved him? His acknowledgement that even if the Father wants to take even his own life, that who is he to question? Was he there when he found it, the beginning and the end? Was he there? So there's things that we don't even know. There's things that he will make us know. There's things that we'll never know. But then one thing is for sure, the instruction is still clear. We have to love one another. We have to. We have to love one another. And this is something that I think I charge every one of us to just, is an instruction. I ain't write it, We have to kind of get there, start thinking about, what does he mean by this? So I'll stop there.
Can I quickly just jump in?
Yes.
Sorry, before